Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome. This is Fantasy Alarm on opening day, Howard. What's going on?
Opening day, that's what's going on. I mean, listen, I like taking a quick breather from all the baseball action. Games have been absolutely phenomenal. But you know what? Listen, I mean, we've been busting our onions over at fantasyalarm.com to get everything up and running and properly situated for the MLB season. So, yeah, even though it's opening day, I think I could take a little breather and get a little NFL time in with my girl Brandon.
Yo, man. But you know what? We also got a little Giancarlo Stanton work. Listen, he's all over our website. We told you to play him, and he got 2 home runs. Is there anything else to say about that, Howard, other than go Yankees?
Go Yankees. It's going to be such a great year. Huh, I can't wait.
Mwah. And also the rest of there's some good things. Let's just hit on them real quick. What were the other big things that you've taken away from opening day so far?
All right, yeah, listen, I could definitely go with that. Chris Sale threw a really nice game, but his bullpen blew it. So he did not get the win. Though it looks like the Rays are up 6-4 right now over the Red Sox. Angels in Oakland battling back and forth there. That's a nice little tie game. Milwaukee, San Diego, very low-scoring tie game. That was kind of a bummer. I thought Ryan Braun and/or Domingo Santana were going to be able to put something together against Clayton Richard. All of a sudden, the dude, like, every once in a while shows up and pitches just an amazing game. Aaron Nola doing a great job for the Phillies. Tim Anderson, like the light-hitting Tim Anderson. Okay, yeah, double dong there for Timmy Anderson. Matt Davidson, same team, White Sox. He ends up going yard as well. Thor looked like he had some command issues going on a little bit. He still had 10 strikeouts, but he gave up 4 runs in 6 innings. And, yeah, it's baseball. It's baseball. You guys, what you should definitely do is, it is back. You check out, if you're looking for the roundup or, like a last-minute article about everything and everything that went down today in baseball, the Closing Bell, the Fantasy Alarm Closing Bell, written by Greg Jewett. He's going to take care of that. You should have that up and running probably around no later than 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time when, yeah, that's right, when you and I wrap up this live stream.
Oh, man, you guys, we are going to try to make this quick, beautiful, and incredibly informative because we know that you have a ton of baseball to listen to today. But you know what? It is always football season, and football will not let us go away. It just won't do it. Every time I turn on the news, there's always some sort of football story. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cover just big, bang, boom as to what you need to know for fantasy purposes. Because here's the deal, you guys. It's all going to change again once the NFL draft is here. And in the following weeks, we're going to talk more about what people need to fill, what the teams need to fill in terms of their positions, who we think is going to go where, what the deal is, and what have you. But this time, we're going to talk about what they've already done and how it is already going to affect your fantasy teams. Because let me tell you, it is really, really happening. And we're just going to go team by team because it's pretty intense. So we're going to start with the Arizona Cardinals. Carson Palmer is officially retired. Larry Fitzgerald has not. They decided to bring in both Sam Bradford and Mike Glennon. I don't know who the starter will be. That's about kind of all they did on the team, though. We're hoping, obviously, that David Johnson comes back in full. Any thoughts on Sam Bradford staying healthy? Poor guy.
How does this? What I want to know is how the hell does this dude still get contracts? Like, what is wrong with the Cardinals scouting department or whatever? I mean, they go and who's the other quarterback that they picked
Mike
up?
Glennon.
Also? Yeah, Glennon. So they automatically, it's like you automatically have to get a handcuff when you sign Sam Bradford. How does this dude keep getting this money? It makes zero sense.
$40 million for 2 years.
Stop it. Come on, stop it.
I
really?
mean, that's important. $40 million for 2 years is like crazy town.
You know what I would do for $40 million if for just 2 years?
I'd do a lot.
There's a lot I would do.
There's a lot I would do. Yeah, I agree. And I'm going to say this. I think they're also going to draft a quarterback. I think we could say that even though this isn't the focus of this particular podcast or live stream, but let's be honest here. The Atlanta Falcons didn't really do much in terms of fantasy. They did bring in tight end Logan Paulson. Listen, they always have the pieces and it's always a little boring. I mean, what would you say about that? I mean, I don't.
It is. It's a snoozer. I mean, here's the thing. I was hoping that Austin Hooper would get utilized more as the tight end, as a good pass catching tight end. So now you're bringing in, it was like there was him, there was Levine Toilolo. They sit there and they bring in another tight end here for what? I mean, really, for what? Is Matt Ryan really going to start throwing? This is like Green Bay. Let's just keep bringing in tight ends and watch how Aaron Rodgers never throws to them.
We'll get to that in a minute because, man, they've really outdid themselves this year in terms of bringing in tight ends that they're not going to use, and we're all going to cry. But I would say that, in my opinion, they are needing that Tony Gonzalez type. I think that is the missing piece here. There are a lot of good pass-catching tight ends in this particular draft that we'll talk about later, but it is important to say. The Baltimore Ravens brought in Michael Crabtree and John Brown. Michael Crabtree actually got 3 years, $21 million. John Brown only has 1 year for $5 million. Now, John Brown has shown those flashes of brilliance, but man, sickle cell trait, I keep talking about it. I'm one of the only people that's really passionate about it, and it keeps rearing its ugly head, people. It is a serious condition. Do you think, though, that he's finally maybe gotten it under control? Is there a way to really get it under control in the NFL? I think that's really the question.
No, I mean, is there a cure for it? No, there's no cure for it. So, end of story right there. It's gonna perpetuate. I don't really listen. That signing, I don't know what Crabtree was doing going over to the Ravens either. I mean, really? You want Joe Flacco? Like you can't deal with Derek Carr, so you're gonna upgrade to Joe Flacco? That one, to me, that's a huge head scratcher just from the wide receiver standpoint. Because again, listen, I get he's gonna see mad targets over there, but I mean, I don't think we're looking at huge yardage. He's like coming to Jeremy Maclin or something stupid like that.
I'll say this for Flacco. His first half of the season, I said he needed to be fired, and I stand by that. It was horrible. He was the worst, statistically the worst quarterback in the National Football League on every single statistic that includes DeShone Kizer. You've got to go look up his stats the first half of the season. The second half, though, he did come alive. Maybe there's something getting a little farther away from that knee injury. We'll see. The Buffalo Bills sent away Tyrod Taylor. Instead, they got A.J. McCarron, I think, maybe one of the greatest of all time. Well, now's your time to prove it, buddy. More than likely, they'll also draft a quarterback. They have Travaris Cadet and then Tywan Jones, neither of which are appropriate backups to LaShawn McCoy. Is this the year that LaShawn McCoy finally gets old, or is he still a baller?
I mean, I would say that I would still stick with him, but he's not the first round talent anymore. AJ McCarron. Like, I mean, here's the thing is that they were all concerned about stacking the box against LaShawn McCoy when it was Tyrod Taylor. Do we really think if AJ McCarron was so good and AJ McCarron was the guy who's going to be the future of the team and he can't beat out Andy Dalton? Like, Andy Dalton sucks at football. Like, really sucks at football. And yet he was still starting quarterback for the Bengals while A.J. McCarron was like pulling his pud in the corner somewhere. So what makes the Bills think that, let's bring him from craptastic Cincinnati to even more disgusting Buffalo and see what happens here? I don't get it. It makes no sense to me.
We have no meaningful statistics to give you about A.J. McCarron because he hasn't played football in so long. But we will say that the Buffalo Bills are probably going to do a lot of work in the draft, but they've already done a lot of work in free agency along the offensive line. Their entire defense is being restructured. It's incredibly interesting. So do keep an eye on this team. But I'm with you. It's dubious at best. We also have Bob on the line. He says hello, and we're saying hello. Let's chat. We're talking football on opening day, because that is what we do. We do it all here at Fantasy Alarm all year round, which is the whole reason that you're here. Also, I want to talk to you about this new awesome way to play. It's called, you guys, it is the Fan Controlled Football League, the FCFL. Okay. Yeah. This is nuts. So basically, it's like Madden and Pro Football mashed up and decided to be the coolest way that you can play fantasy. So you get to control the name, the logo, players, coaches, play calling. You actually do on your smartphone, like with an American Idol like vote. It's nuts. And it's kind of, they have a blockchain technology, and you guys know if you are into cyber currency what that means. But it's all backed up, so you get these things called fan tokens. So the more you play, the more control you have. You have to go check it out. And we have this great promo, and everything that we're doing on Fantasy Alarm is fantastic, but we're also totally in on FCFL. So all you have to do is go to fantasyalarm.com/FCFL. That's fantasyalarm.com/FCFL and go and check it out today. It's amazing. And Howard is like nodding his head here because he's like, yeah.
Well, because I'm thinking about increasing my shares and get some more tokens so that we can have the Half Moon Bay Howards and throw a professional team right here in Half Moon Bay.
Yep, and I would like the BMLs. They can be like dressed like BLTs, and everyone can be like, "I thought you said BML," and it'll be funny. No.
I mean, I'm trying to go with it here. But I don't know. I mean, you said BLT, and I just got instantly hungry. And now I just want like a whole plate of bacon.
Well, you guys, what we can do is we can actually do a whole Fantasy Alarm FCFL team. That's what we should do. We should do an FA Nation team, and we just make them like all dressed like Howard or me, and they have to draw out of a hat as to which one they get.
I like that.
Yeah, there you go.
Now you're speaking my language.
But go and check it out, you guys, because I think that doing actual play calling for a team would maybe be the coolest thing to do in fantasy of all time. So go and check it out. It is reality. So again, fantasyalarm.com/FCFL. Carolina Panthers got Torrey Smith in the house and Jarius Wright. Two wide receivers that I was intrigued. They actually traded. There was a trade that went on with the Eagles, and that's how they got Torrey Smith. Greg Olsen was rumored to be retiring because he was interviewing for an announcing job. Ended up that he's not retiring. This is for after football. But is it time to start thinking about that seriously, Howard?
About him retiring?
Yeah, because also they don't have a lot of wide receivers. Because I'm sorry, Torrey Smith and Jarius Wright don't really invoke my.
No. I mean, it's atrocious. It's an absolute nightmare. I don't necessarily know if Greg Olsen's done, though. I mean, listen, the foot injury last year was definitely a problem, and they rushed him back. He re-injured it the first day he was back, and, they should have just held him out for at least another week or two. So, but I can't say that he's done. I mean, it's the tight end position. It's not like crazy wear and tear. It's not, a horror show for him. So I can't say that he's done. I would like to see them, augment him with some, extra wide receivers, supplement him.
Yeah, no.
Give him, in addition to himself, some wide receivers to catch some passes there. I mean, you can't just load it up on him. He's not Travis Kelce. You can't just load it up on him like that.
Yeah. There are definitely people that get a little overworked, which we'll talk a little bit more in the show. But yeah, I don't think Greg Olsen's one of them, but they definitely rushed him back too early trying to make that playoff push. And I understand that. Though, as an organization, your goal is always to get into the playoffs, correct? Well, your ultimate goal is always win the Super Bowl. So they saw that it was within their sights. I understand why they did it, but I think long term it was a bit rushed. So the Chicago Bears, first of all, I think Mitchell Trubisky showed some moxie. And I am into it. They decided to bring in two backups, which they need to, Chase Daniel and Tyler Bray. But the problem, Tyler Bray. But the problem is that they absolutely have no chance with Mitchell Trubisky there because they love him there. Actually, the Chicago players love playing for him. It's a very exciting time. They brought in Allen Robinson and Taylor Gabriel. Cam Meredith is getting healthier by the second. They're excited to have him back. Believe it or not, you guys, Jordan Howard was averaging 4.1 yards per carry, even though everyone knew they were always running the ball last season. That's a miracle, people. You have no idea how crazy that is. And then they also brought in Trey Burton, which was one of the bigger stories of free agency because Matt Nagy is now the coach. He was the offensive coordinator for Kansas City. Now, there is some debate here because he didn't do a lot of play calling in Kansas City. When he did, he used Travis Kelce a lot. And certainly he was game planning with using Travis Kelce a lot. And I believe Trey Burton could be a star anywhere that Zach Ertz isn't playing. So I do agree with that. People might do it a little too crazy, though. So how high would you draft Trey Burton just based off of change of location and coach?
I don't really think that I would. I think that, listen, he was good during his fill-in times, but I mean, am I legitimately looking at him saying that this guy is going to be that next top tight end? No, I don't look at that. If he was really going to be the next top tight end, he would have emerged a lot sooner on the scene. So I don't consider him a fine wine who's suddenly getting better. He is who he is. He is just yet another tight end that, well, I'll whisper to and stream. How about that?
Love it. All right, so we got the Cincinnati Bengals. We got Tyler Eifert signed to one more year to see if he can stay healthy. Other than that, they really didn't do anything, which was shocking to me. I think they're going to have to be involved in the draft. The Cleveland Browns did the opposite. They've done a lot of moving and dealing. We've got Tyrod Taylor coming in at quarterback. They're obviously going to draft a quarterback towards the front because everyone knows that. But I still think Tyrod Taylor could be the starter. I think that actually might be better for all the people that are options for them. So I think that's interesting. They also brought in Drew Stanton. Whatever. Carlos Hyde came to town. So did Jarvis Landry and Darren Fells. Now, Darren Fells obviously is going to be behind David Njoku. Jarvis Landry is perhaps the best possession receiver in the National Football League. He certainly had the most catches over the first 3 years of any career ever. And he's going to be now pairing up on the opposite side of Josh Gordon. He's going to be working in the middle of the field. Josh Gordon's been going long. And now they have Carlos Hyde, who's definitely decent, but does have injury issues. But if they get a running back early, that's awesome. This is an intriguing team, but I feel like I said this last season a little bit early. So is it still a problem they have Hugh Jackson? Because that's the only thing that's stopping me here.
Yeah, Hugh's definitely a pain in the ass, and he has a lot of difficulty relinquishing things like control and play calling, important stuff like that to a team. So, yeah, these moves, I think, by Cleveland are a lot more bold this year than they were last year. I really do. Because now they know that they've got a healthy offensive line. They know that it's got some strength to it. And so now all of a sudden, they're adding all of these parts. They got Josh Gordon back. He'll draw some coverage. So I actually, and as much as I hate to praise the city of Cleveland, because that is a dirty, dirty shithole of a city. I love what they're doing with their football team right now. It gives some life.
If it wasn't Hugh Jackson, I'd be super excited. I think this is a very fun team. I am pumped for you, and I'm still celebrating for you in your 0-16 parade that you also said you're going to be the Super Bowl champions in 2022. I think it could happen, people. I think it could happen. Dallas Cowboys, they brought in Allen Hurns and Deontay Thompson, and then everyone's like, and now they're going to drop Dez Bryant. I have horrible news for everyone. You have to have more than one wide receiver on a team, and neither of those people are replacing Dez Bryant. Any thoughts on the Cowboys? Because that was really their only big fantasy moves.
No, there's nothing I can say about it. We can defer that to Jim Bowden. He's our resident Cowboys fanboy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, right. You've done shows with him, right?
I've done. Good. I'm glad that everyone's happy.
He's such a Cowboys homer.
And FA Nation, because we got our man Rick. Yeah. We got our man Glenn. We got like some serious stuff going on. Denver Broncos brought in Case Keenum. I think they're going to be better with him. I'm sorry. I think this is a huge upgrade because
hard to be worse.
So that's all that happened with them. Detroit Lions brought in LeGarrette Blount and Zach Zetter. So again, they always still need a running back. They brought in Luke Wilson, Levine Toilolo. They cut Eric Ebron, which I was fine with. But again, they need tight ends and running backs. They need to do a lot in the draft.
Detroit's terrible. They are. I mean, listen, there's a reason that their guys are retiring early. Like Barry Sanders was like, I'm out of here. And he retired. He quit football while he was like still a major viable option there. So he left. Megatron quit early. I mean, there's something going on there in Detroit it's definitely not kosher. And you can bring in all the LeGarrette Blounts you want. It's not solving the problem there at all.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely not. You know what else is not solving the problem of losing Jordy Nelson or cutting Jordy Nelson is bringing in Jimmy Graham. They also have Deshaun Kaiser, though, as a backup, which I find interesting.
Jimmy
Graham is not going to be in the Packers. We keep saying that it'd be great if they had a great tight end, and then it never happens. I almost can't draft Jimmy Graham at all. Am I crazy?
No, I don't think you're crazy at all. Aaron Rodgers doesn't use the tight end. He doesn't throw to the tight end. It's just that's the way the offensive scheme is. It's not, anything else. But, I mean, the play calling that Mike McCarthy does, and that Aaron Rodgers looks for his targets and stuff like that. I mean, it's not the tight end.
Nope, it's not. Houston Texans signed backup Brennan Whedon because he's 50, and it was the right thing to do. We've got Sammy Coates and Bruce Ellington got re-signed, but other than that, not a lot going on. And the Texans, another team we don't really talk about on paper, being really kind of weird this year. Also, the Colts brought in Christian Michael, who his spark score still keeps people salivating over him. I swear, you guys, it's been years. Please stop. And they also brought in wide receiver Ryan Grant on a 1-year contract, even though Ryan Grant failed a physical and was not able to be on his first team, which was the Baltimore Ravens. So what do you think about this? The Colts have a lot of work. Oh, and they also brought in Eric Ebron. Obviously, that's the biggest move that they made. Do you think Eric Ebron can get a little resurgence there? But Jack Doyle was incredibly good, so I don't understand.
I don't understand it either. Listen, Eric Ebron, I had high hopes for during his rookie season, and he was just a complete and utter failure the rest of the way. He was dropping passes left and right. They weren't incorporating him in the passing scheme because of it. They made him, the Lions had some offensive line issues, so they ended up having to keep him in and have him block. But even when he was getting the opportunities and he was seeing targets, it was very much a letdown. Very much a letdown there.
Yeah, big time. And also the blocking. It's just the Kansas City Chiefs, you guys, brought in Chad Henne to back up Patrick Mahomes now that they don't have Alex Smith. Damian Williams is there. Also, Sammy Watkins and DeAnthony Thomas. Sammy Watkins is a peculiar ad because of Tyreek Hill. Any thoughts on how this affects Hill?
It doesn't affect Hill at all. I think, Tyreek Hill gets his 4 targets a game. He catches 1 for 77 yards and a touchdown. And, right? Exactly. It's like, it's quick, it's easy. It's like, there it is. It was like, you remember when we were talking last year about, who's the dude from the Texans? I want to say his name sounds like Will Ferrell. Will Fuller.
Oh yeah, Will Fuller, my man. Yeah.
And we were talking about Will Fuller, and you were saying, you know what? Listen, it's a very specific. It's like playing, Tecmo Bowl. It's like you keep doing the same play, and it works over and over and over and over again. You're never going to stop doing it. Well, if you do stop doing it, well, then it doesn't work anymore. So I kind of feel like we're, really kind of at that situation at this point.
Agreed. Los Angeles Chargers bring in Virgil Green. No one knows why, and that's about all they've done. They are trying to beef up their offensive line, which is definitely something they should do. The Rams didn't really do anything in terms of fantasy purposes other than let Sammy Watkins walk. They're fine as well. Miami Dolphins brought in Brock Osweiler and David Fales. I don't understand. They also brought in the one and only Frank Gore. I don't think people understand how good Frank Gore is. Every season since his rookie year, which I believe was in 1974, he has gone over 1,000 yards from scrimmage, and that includes last season. I think he's going to do it again with the Dolphins. And I know what they got going on over there, but you know that they can't keep their running back straight. And he somehow always gets it done. Good for you, Frank Gore. Also returning to Miami. Albert Wilson's also there, and Danny Amendola, which I find these all bizarre. The Dolphins letting Jarvis Landry go, this is what they do.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. I mean, I thought Kenyon Drake was supposed to be their running back of the future, right? Wasn't Kenyon Drake having himself a great season there? Why are you bringing in Frank Gore? Why are you going to have Frank Gore poach these carries? It makes no sense to me. You're talking about a guy who's on the wrong side of 30 who, he had like a nice little resurgence. Why? Because they didn't have a quarterback to throw, for crying out loud. Like, that's the thing. That's why Frank Gore got the carries, got the yards. I'm sorry, but you're not going to tell me that Frank Gore is going to have to, he's going to be able to stay healthy having that kind of a workload again this coming year, like in back-to-back seasons. It's not happening.
Agreed. I mean, for fantasy purposes, no, but he's amazing. Minnesota Vikings brought in Kirk Cousins. Everyone else on the planet has already overtalked this one. I don't think they've talked enough about. They also brought in Super Bowl champion Trevor Siemian, but that is the truth. We got the New England Patriots. They signed Rex Burkhead, even though Rex Burkhead gouged Tom Brady's hand. When we finally saw the injury, it was actually a legit hand gouge, but they did sign him to an extension. They also signed Jeremy Hill to 1 year, which is interesting. Cordero Patterson's going to be there, but he's going to be a returner, and Matthew Slater, who they love. I don't get it. New Orleans Saints, so signed Drew Brees, which I didn't think was ever in question, whatever. But they signed Ben Watson back too. Those teams are pretty much solid from what we saw last season, right, Howard?
Yeah, I don't see there's anything to change there at all. I think that I wouldn't mind seeing New Orleans bring themselves in another wide receiver, like just a good, reliable guy there. I think that'll kind of keep things humming nicely for them. Just give somebody to take some of the coverage off of Michael Thomas.
Well, we're kind of speeding through the end here, but we got Jonathan Stewart and Cody Latimer joining the Giants because you know what? That's why they don't need Odell Beckham, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, clearly
yeah,
it's over. Cody Latimer.
You're talking about the Rams, and I was like, ooh, maybe Odell's going to the Rams. I've been hearing that story there.
Giants. Sorry, no. The New York Giants. I mean, what the? Yeah. So, and then the New York Jets, though, the big move is that they moved into the 3rd spot in the 1st round. Now, Howard, you have a little bit of a hot take on this. This is your team.
I don't have a hot take on it.
It's not a hot take.
You know what? Here's the funny thing is that, we brought on Bob Wischusen from ESPN. He also does the play-by-play for the Jets broadcast on TV. So, I brought him in there, and he was all sorts of fired up because he was in favor of the trade. He was arguing with somebody on Twitter who wasn't. Go figure, right? Arguing with somebody on Twitter, it's preposterous.
Preposterous.
Right? I know, big word. I'm like exhausted, and I'm like spouting off like 25-cent SAT words here.
Yeah.
But Bob made a very interesting point when it came to the Jets, and it was the fact that. Trading up to 3 locks them into one of the top quarterbacks that they want, whether it's Josh Allen or whether it's going to be Baker Mayfield. I mean, who knows what's going to happen there, but at least they're going to have the options to do it. If you talk about the Jets and you say, well, why'd they do the deal? They shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have done it. The real question is then who's quarterbacking the Jets in 2 years?
Right.
There's nobody on the team. There's nobody to bring, to bring in from the outside that they know of or that they're considering. So why?
Okay. Pull the trigger. They did bring in Josh McCown and Teddy Bridgewater as insurance, but come on, guys. They did bring in Isaiah Crowell, Terrell Pryor, and Andre Roberts.
Isaiah Crowell.
I mean, but also he was on the Browns, so who knows? We got Oakland Raiders, of course, have EJ Manuel and Josh Johnson to back up Derek Carr. They brought in Doug Martin, though, and Jordy Nelson, and I am intrigued because do we still think these guys have fuel?
I think Jordy might have some fuel still.
Okay.
But that's it. Like I am
Doug Martin,
certainly not buying Doug Martin. No, Doug Martin that's hot trash right there. That's
I won't go that far, but I will say that I am done using him in fantasy for any sort of like stud running back purposes, and I don't know why Oakland would not feel the same way. Mike Wallace, the Philadelphia Eagles, I think maybe the sleeper free agency move of the year. Mike Wallace is always sneaky productive, and you almost never even have to draft him. He's either your last pick or you pick him up off of waivers, and I think that he's going to be productive with Carson Wentz in Philadelphia. What do you think?
I mean, there's a lot of targets there. Now. I mean, if you looking at Nelson Aguilar, Jordan Matthews is there right now. Zach Ertz is still the number one, mouth to get fed. So, yeah, I'm not really,
I think because he's so cheap and he just keeps being minor. I think he's going to be more productive than Torrey Smith.
Well, I mean, is it hard to be more productive than Torrey Smith?
Well,
I mean, really.
Like Case Keenum's going to be a better quarterback in Denver, too. You know what? These things need to be said. Because they're true. The Steelers didn't really do anything in free agency. San Francisco 49ers brought in Jerick McKinnon, and people are losing it. Are you into this pick? Do you think that Jerick McKinnon is someone that you would invest in from a fantasy perspective, and especially in Dynasty? Or would you trade him high because you think San Francisco is going to pick up a running back in this draft?
I think they might pick up a running back in this draft. But in all honesty, I look at, the situation there. McKinnon fits right into Shanahan's system. Fits right in like a glove. I mean, it's, he wants his pass catching running backs, and now he's got, Jerick McKinnon side by side with Matt Breida. And it's two, smaller pass catching running backs who can hopefully pick up some yardage and stuff. So, Yeah. It's not that I'm not buying it. I'm just not really, I'm not digging it, but I'm not really that against it. In a PPR format, would I grab Jerick McKinnon in the later rounds? Yeah, probably.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jerron Brown is in the Seattle Seahawks now, and Ed Dickson and Marcus Johnson and Mike Davis. It's all very pedestrian. We definitely need to see the draft from them. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I got horrible news for everyone from a dynasty perspective about O.J. Howard. Cameron Brate was signed to 6 years and $41 million. You guys, Cameron Brate is not going anywhere. I apologize to all of you. Also, Ryan Fitzpatrick is still the backup there. But you guys, we'll talk a little bit more about this O.J. Howard thing later. It has to stop. It has to stop. Blaine Gabbert is part of the Tennessee Titans now. Dion Lewis, though, 4 years, $20 million. Same with Derrick Henry, you guys. We're going to have a whole show dedicated to people like Derrick Henry and O.J. Howard and their dynasty purposes. I promise you. And Alex Smith of the Washington Redskins and Paul Richardson and Brian Quick, which whatever. But Paul Richardson and Alex Smith, weird combination of players because one guy goes long and one doesn't. Am I weird?
No, you're not weird. I mean, what was it about Richardson's game that everybody loved so much coming out of Seattle? The dude saw 3 targets a game on average, maybe?
Yeah, but he makes 70 yards and a touchdown on it. It's a Tyreek Hill situation, I guess. Is that what they're trying to replicate?
I mean, it's not as good as the Tyreek Hill situation.
Well, nothing's as good as the Tyreek Hill. He's just
not as good.
Of course not. But who is? Tyreek Hill's a special player. Well, you are. Yes, Howard. And you know what else is great? Opening day, you guys. Get out there. Go watch some baseball. But we caught up on some free agency. We are so excited. We'll be here every single week starting at 7 o'clock Eastern every single week on Thursdays. And then tell them everything about your Craig Mish shows because that's also amazing.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're rocking the live streams here. So Brandon and I are going to be here every Thursday night from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern. Doing all sorts of fantasy football stuff. As we get closer to the season, we'll probably pick it up on Sundays again, just to get you guys all ready and amped up and prepared for how you're going to spend your Sundays. But then on every Tuesday and every Friday from noon Eastern to 1 p.m. Eastern, Craig Mish and myself doing a live stream just like this, answering all your fantasy baseball questions, seasonal, DFS, waivers, trade talk, whatever the case might be. Mish and I here on this, on our YouTube channel, Facebook page, Periscope, all the other fun stuff.
Love it. Well, thank you everyone so much. Happy opening day. We adore you here at Fantasy Alarm. Make sure to check out everything that we got going on over at fantasyalarm.com. Bye-bye.